Hello, welcome once again to this online session in the subject of signals and systems. Currently, we are discussing signals, and in last couple of online sessions, we discussed about different types of signal operations. We have seen that we can classify different types of signal operations mainly in two categories. One, which affects the time representation of the signal, mainly time scaling, time shifting and time reversal, and another type of operations that affects the amplitude representation of a signal, namely amplitude scaling, signal addition, signal multiplication. We have also discussed few examples related to different types of signal operations. In today's online session, we would try to focus particularly on signal operations in relation with impulse signal. We would realize in coming sessions that impulse is one of the very important signals which is used quite often in system analysis. So, different examples of signal operations with impulse signal that we are going to discuss in this session would be very useful and handy while discussing system analysis. So let us start with signal operations with impulse signal. I have tried to highlight different properties of impulse signal here by means of different types of signal operations discussed in terms of various examples. So let us start with the first example where we are trying to multiply an impulse signal with any arbitrary discrete time signal x of n. So the question is that if I multiply x of n with delta n, what would be the output? X of n is a discrete time signal, and in general it can be any arbitrary discrete time signal. Now what we know about an impulse signal? Then in discrete time domain, impulse signal delta n is defined equal to 1 at n equal to 0, and it is 0 at n not equal to 0. It typically looks something like this. At n equal to 0, the value of the signal is equal to 1. For all other values of n, the value of the signal is 0. Now, for any given signal x of n, if we try to multiply x of n with this kind of signal, we know that, or we can understand that for all values of n where delta n is equal to 0, the multiplication is going to be 0. Because we know that when we do signal multiplication, multiplication is basically point to point or instance to instance. That is, the value of delta n at n equal to, say for example 2, would be multiplied with the value of x of n at n equal to 2. Now because delta n is 0 for all values of n except n equal to 0, we would find that all values of x of n except n equal to 0 will become 0. Why? Because the value of delta n is 0. Let me show you by taking one example. Let us say that x of n is defined something like this. It is non-zero between minus 2 and 2. With n equal to 0, the value of x of n is equal to 3. Now suppose that we multiply these two signals. This is x of n and this is delta of n. We know that multiplication is point to point, that is, the value of x of n at n equal to minus 2 would be multiplied with value of delta n at n equal to minus 2. The value of delta n for all n except n equal to 0 is 0. So the multiplication is going to result into 0. However, at n equal to 0 the value is 1. So at n equal to 0 the value of x of n is getting multiplied with 1. So whatever is the value of x of n at n equal to 1 would remain. All other values would become 0. So the multiplication of x of n into delta of n would result into a signal like this, which basically brings out one value of x of n which is at n equal to 0. So I can write that when I multiply x of n with delta of n, the result that I get would basically be x of 0, because all other values of x of n is becoming 0. So x of n multiplied by delta of n is basically equal to x of 0. That is, whenever you multiply delta n with any signal, it gives you one value of the signal at n equal to 0. Similarly, as a little deviation from this example, let us try to take another case. In this case, again I am multiplying the signal x of n with delta, but now delta of n is basically shifted. Delta of n is basically shifted by n0 samples. So what am I doing? We are here multiplying x of n with delta of n minus n0, and we are trying to find what would be the answer to this. Now, if we try to understand x of n minus n0, then by this definition we can say that x of n minus n0 would be equal to 1 at n minus n0 equal to 0. Why? Because delta of n was 1 at n equal to 0, then delta of n minus n0 would be equal to 1 at n minus n0 equal to 0, that is at n equal to n0. And it would be 0 at n not equal to n0. So if we try to show it, then we understand that delta of n minus n0, we have basically shifting in time, something which occurs at n equal to 0 now occurs at n equal to n0. So the 1 has shifted by n0 samples. Now understand that if I take an example of x of n like this, and now if I multiply this x of n with delta of n minus n0, what would happen? What would happen is that all values of x of n would become 0 except the value of x of n at n equal to n0. That is, all the values of x of n except at n equal to n0 will become 0. Right? So what should be the result of this? As x of n into delta of n was x0. Why? Because delta of n was having the value of 1 at n equal to 0. Similarly, here delta of n minus n0 is having value of 1 at n equal to n0. So by multiplying these two signals, what do we get is the value of x of n at n equal to n0. That is, x of n into delta of n minus n0 should give you x of n0. Yes, it should not be difficult to understand. Suppose that I take n0 to be equal to 2. So what should happen? This signal should be present here now. It should get shifted in time. Yes. So now if it is present here, then now I am multiplying this, then only x of 2 would come into picture. All other values would become 0. So x of n into delta of n would give you x of 0. Similarly, x of n into delta of n minus n0 would give you x of n0. This is not absolutely difficult to understand. Now, as we have taken this multiplication of signal with delta function, let us try in discrete time domain, let us try to discuss the same thing for continuous time domain. However, the problem statement changes a bit. What is the problem statement? We are supposed to find that if I integrate from minus infinity to infinity x of t into delta t dt, what would be the result? It means that first I am trying to multiply two signals, x of t into delta t, and then I am trying to integrate it over minus infinity to infinity. Let us try to see what or how we have defined delta t in continuous time domain. The definition is little different compared to discrete time domain. We know or we remember that delta t is equal to 0 for t not equal to 0 and is equal to infinity at t equal to 0. So it is basically having an infinite value at time t equal to 0, and for all other time it is basically 0. So actually speaking, just multiplying x of t with delta t does not sound that well, because delta t at time t equal to 0 is infinite. Yes. So we have the concept of integration here. Why? Because we know one more property of delta, that if I integrate this delta function from minus infinity to infinity, it is going to give me 1. That is, we remember when we discussed the impulse signal, we have discussed that impulse signal is 1, which is a unit area signal. That is, area under the curve of delta function is equal to 1. So when I integrate it from minus infinity to infinity delta t, then the result is equal to 1. Now let us come back to our example. Now what is given to us? What is given to us is that we are supposed to integrate from minus infinity to infinity x of t into delta t dt. Yes. So what we are basically trying to do? We are basically trying to multiply x of t and delta t point to point, and when I say I am integrating, I am going to add those values. Now if we try to multiply x of t with delta t, we can surely talk about what would be the result for time t not equal to 0. Why? Because for time t not equal to 0, delta t is 0. So we can surely say that if I am integrating it from minus infinity to infinity, then except time t equal to 0, this multiplication is going to be 0. So it means that it becomes important to evaluate this multiplication or integrate this multiplication only at time t equal to 0. Now if we are interested to evaluate this integration only at time t equal to 0, then I can certainly substitute 0 with x, because the value of x of t is defined at t equal to 0, or we assume that the value of x of t is defined at t equal to 0. It is not like delta t which has infinite value. So I can rewrite this expression as x of 0 multiplied by delta t dt. Why? Because the value of x of t at t equal to 0 is defined. We are not interested in any other value of x of t except t equal to 0, because the multiplication is going to result into 0. So this basically is x of 0 into delta t. Now x of 0 being a constant value, understand now, it is not a function of time, it is one single value of x. So this is basically a constant, and if it is a constant, we can take that constant out. So I can rewrite this expression as x of 0 integration delta t dt, and we know that integration delta t dt is equal to 1. So this integration is going to become equal to 1. So what would be the result? The result would be, we would be left with the value x of 0. Yes. So integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta t dt would be equal to x of 0. You can go through this explanation once again if required. I am sure this is absolutely simple to understand. Having discussed this, let us try to take one more example as an extension of what we are discussing. Let us try to solve this. Here we have integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta of t minus t0 dt. The difference in this example compared to the previous example is that now my delta of signal is shifted in time by t0 units. Now compared to delta t, how we can define delta of t minus t0? Then we can say that delta of t minus t0 is equal to 0 for t not equal to t0 and is equal to infinity for t equal to t0. And in the same way as delta minus infinity to infinity delta t dt is equal to 1, we can also write that integration minus infinity to infinity delta of t minus t0 dt would be equal to 1. Why? Because by just shifting delta signal in time, the nature of the signal is not changing, and hence its property of being a unit area signal does not change by shifting. So we can say that integration minus infinity to infinity delta t minus t0 dt would be equal to 1. Now if we come back to the example where we are trying to multiply x of t with delta of t minus t0 and integrate it from minus infinity to infinity, we understand that the multiplication of these two signals would result into 0 for all values except at time t equal to t0. Why? Because for all values except time t equal to t0, delta t minus t0 is 0, so the resultant multiplication would be 0. So it is meaningful to integrate this multiplication of two signals only at time t equal to t0. And at time t equal to t0, I can write the value of x of t as x of t0, because we are talking about a particular instance of time t equal to t0. So instead of x of t, I can write x of t0. And as we are talking about a particular or specific value of x at time t equal to 0, this becomes constant. This becomes a constant value. So I can take it out of integration. So it gives me x of t0 integration delta t minus t0 dt. And what do we know? We know that integration delta t minus t0 dt is basically equal to 1. So I can have this part equal to 1. So what remains here is x of t0. So integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta t results into x of 0, whereas integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta of t minus t0 would result into x of t0. As was the case in discrete time, similar is the case in continuous time, that integrating it over minus infinity to infinity gives us a specific value of x of t. Fine. Let us try to take few more interesting examples to understand the concepts better. Here the example given is integration minus 1 to 1. I am given with some function 3t square plus 2t plus 1 delta t dt, and we are supposed to find the answer to this. Now from our previous two slides, what do we know? We know that integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta t dt is equal to x of 0. So here my x of t is basically this relation 3t square plus 2t plus 1. Now when I am multiplying this 3t square plus 2t plus 1 with delta t, I would be interested in which value of this function. I would be interested in the value of the function only at time t equal to 0, because this integration is equal to x of 0 as we discussed in the previous slide. So I would be interested in the value of this only at t equal to 0. Now understand that we are integrating it from minus 1 to 1. So when we are integrating it from minus 1 to 1, t equal to 0 is certainly the part of the integration. Why? Because 0 comes between minus 1 and 1. So the result of this should be that the integration of 3t square plus 2t plus 1 delta t dt should be equal to 3t square plus 2t plus 1 at t equal to 0. If I substitute the value, the result would be equal to 1. Yes? So we have used the simple property that we have discussed in the previous slide. Right? To have a better understanding and contrast to what we have discussed in this example, let us take one more example. Here we are trying to integrate the same function 3t square plus 2t plus 1 delta t dt, but over the interval 2 to 5. Again, as we know that when we are multiplying this signal with delta t and we are integrating, we are interested in only one particular value of x, which is at time t equal to 0. However, in this example, the limit of integration is from 2 to 5. And hence, this limit of integration does not does not include time t equal to 0. And we know that except time t equal to 0, this multiplication is going to result into 0. So, as the limit of integration is between 2 and 5, which does not include 0, that is, which does not include time t equal to 0, the answer to this would be equal to 0. Why? Because the point at which the multiplication of two signals is non-zero is not covered in this integration, and hence the result of this should be 0. Yes. Let us take one more example here. Integration minus infinity to infinity t square plus cos pi t delta t minus 1 dt. Here, instead of delta t, we have a shifted version of delta t, that is delta t minus t0. So what is the relation that we know? We know the relation that integration minus infinity to infinity x of t delta of t minus t0 would basically give me the value of x at t equal to t0. That is, it would give me the value of x at t equal to t0. So now if I compare this with this, my t0 is equal to 1 and my x of t is the expression t square plus cos pi t. So now if I try to evaluate the expression, then I would be interested in evaluating this expression only at time t equal to 1, that is t equal to t0. So if I try to evaluate this by substituting t equal to 1, I would get t square equal to 1 and I would get cos pi which would be equal to minus 1. So 1 minus 1 would be equal to 0. I think these 2-3 examples that we have discussed would make the concept of multiplication with impulse signal or operation with impulse signal more clear and better. If required, you can take a pause and you can review the things that we have discussed till now. If things are fine, let us move on to one more example, and one of probably the last example in signal operations with impulse signal. Let us say that now I am multiplying two signals. One is my signal x of n, which is any arbitrary discrete time signal, with an impulse signal. The difference here is that my x of n is also shifted in time and my delta n is also shifted in time. So I basically have x of n minus k multiplied by delta of n minus n0. Now what do we know? We know that x of n multiplied by delta of n minus n0 would basically give me x of n0. However, I don't have n here, but this signal is also shifted in time, that is I have x of n minus k. So, to bring the given expression in something that we know, that is to bring this expression in terms of the above expression, let us try to substitute n minus k by any variable, say m. So in this expression, let me try to substitute n minus k by m. If I suppose n minus k to be equal to m, then I can also write n is equal to m plus k, that is I would have to substitute n by m plus k. So now if I substitute this in the given expression, then what I would get, in place of n minus k, kindly follow my cursor, in place of n minus k I would substitute m, so I would get x of m, and instead of n I would have to substitute m plus k, so I would have m plus k minus n0. So what I have done, in the given expression I have substituted n minus k by m, and I have to substitute n by m plus k. Rearranging this expression so as to bring it in this form, I will get x of m delta of m minus n0 minus k. Yes. Now this expression is similar to this expression, that is LHS part of this expression. The only difference is here the variable is n, whereas here our variable is m. And n0 basically here is n0 minus k. So now if this relation results into x of n0, then this relation should result into x of n0 minus k, because n0 is replaced here by n0 minus k. So on RHS side, when we have n0, it should also be replaced by n0 minus k. Yes? So what do we get? So what do we get? What do we get is x of n minus k, delta of n minus n0 should be equal to x of n0 minus k. Yes? Very good. Fine. Let us try to take a different type of example involving impulse signal. What is the question? The question is, sketch the first derivative of following signal. I am given with a signal x of t, which is equal to ut minus ut minus a. I am sure now you will be able to visualize what x of t would be like. X of t would basically be a rectangular pulse whose duration would be from 0 to a. Yes, it should not be difficult now. So x of t is ut minus u of t minus a, and the question asks us to find the first derivative of this signal. That is, we are supposed to find dx of t by dt. That is, I am supposed to differentiate this, and I am supposed to sketch this signal. Right? At the first go, it looks to be little different type of question, but this should make us remember the relation between different common signals like impulse, step, and ramp. Let us recollect this. We know that differentiation of step, that is dut by dt, gives you the impulse function delta t. So now, if I differentiate x of t, then I would have to differentiate this too. That is, I would have to differentiate ut by dt, and I would have to differentiate u of t minus a by dt. We know that differentiation of unit step gives me impulse. So this should give me delta t, and this should give me delta of t minus a. We know what is delta t. Delta t is basically 0 for all time t not equal to 0, and at t equal to 0 it is equal to infinite. Similarly, we know that delta of t minus a is nothing but delta shifted in time at t equal to a. But one more thing is, here delta t minus a is having a magnitude which is multiplied by minus 1. So if you try to plot this signal, the signal would look something like this. That is, the first derivative of x of t would look something like this. It is delta t minus delta t minus a. So I have one impulse here at t equal to 0, and I have another impulse here at t equal to a. This impulse is shown with a negative magnitude because we have a minus sign here. Yes? I am sure it should not be difficult to understand. Let us try to add little complexity to this problem. Let us say that we are supposed to sketch the first derivative of a signal x of t, where x of t is equal to t into u of t minus u of t minus a. So compared to previous example that we have discussed, here we have multiplication of t. We now know that differentiation of impulse is delta, so that it should not be difficult. However, now we have two functions which are dependent on time. So let us recollect the basic property of differentiation, that if I have two functions f and g which I am trying to differentiate, then what I generally do, differentiation of ft into gt dt is nothing but gt differentiation of ft plus ft differentiation of gt. So now if I try to differentiate x of t, then I would, as a first term, I would take u of t minus a as it is, and I would differentiate this t. So u of t minus a as it is, dt by dt. Plus, now I would keep t to be t as it is, and I would try to differentiate the second term, d ut minus u of t minus u of t minus a dt. Yes, so here my ft is t and gt is ut minus u of t minus a. Now we understand that differentiation of t is equal to 1, whereas differentiation of ut and ut minus 1 would basically give me delta t and delta t minus a. So this ut minus 1 as it is, this becomes equal to 1, this t comes as it is, and then you have delta t minus delta t minus a. So this is ut minus u of t minus a plus t into delta t minus t into delta t minus a. Now what do we know? We know that at t equal to 0, delta t has a value, otherwise it is 0. So this part or this term in the expression would become equal to 0. Why? Because this is multiplication of two things. One is t, another is delta t. What is the value? What is the value of delta t for t not equal to 0? It is 0. So for all time t not equal to 0, delta t is 0. And what is the value of t at time t equal to 0? It is 0. So this multiplication is going to result into 0. So what I would get would be ut minus a plus 0. What would be the value of delta t minus, what would be the value of t into delta t minus a? Then we know that delta t minus a is 0 for all time t except t equal to a, and at t equal to a, the value of t is going to be a. So this would be a into delta t minus a. Yes. If we try to sketch this, we know that u of t minus a would give you a rectangular pulse, and at t equal to a, this is going to give you an impulse signal whose magnitude is multiplied by minus a. However, because the magnitude of delta t itself is infinity, we just try to show it by an arrow. So between 0 and a, I would get a rectangular pulse, which is because of these two terms. And at t equal to a, I would get an impulse which is negative, which is shown here. So the first derivative of this signal x of t would look something like this. Fine. If required, you can take a pause, you can go through the explanation once again. I would advise you to do the calculations or try to calculate or evaluate the example by your own. It would certainly help you to understand it better. You can find such examples, many such similar examples in the textbooks that we generally refer. So I would urge you, I would request you to go through such examples, and it would be very interesting to explore various operations on signals. With this, we close the session here. Thank you for joining this online session. Thank you.